Hello, this is Lucy.
And this is Shindo. Continuing in the secret book of John, the fashioning of this world. Lucy will be reading the text and I the annotations.
The fashioning of this world. Yaldabaoth, united with the thoughtlessness apanoia within him.
In a parody of Sophia's failure to join with her masculine counterpart, here Yaldabaoth mates with his partner Thoughtlessness to engineer ruling powers for his lower world. They are the gods of this world.
He begot ruling authorities, Excelsia, modeling them on the incorruptible realms above. The first is Athoth, the second is Harmas, called the Eye of Flame. The third is Kalilambri. The fourth is Yabel. The fifth is Adonai, called Sabaoth. The sixth is Cain, called the Sun. The seventh is Abel. The eighth is Abersim. The ninth is Yobel. The 10th is Amupiel. Thus the 11th is Melcher Adonim. The 12th is Belius, who rules over the very depth of Hades.
The names of the rulers of the seven heavens are sometimes understandable. Athoth is Thoth, the Egyptian god of wisdom. Hermas is Hermes, the god associated with Thoth in Hermetic literature. Kalilambri is of unknown origin. The origin of Yabel is also unknown, although it might be ultimately derived from the word Yahweh, combined with the word Baal, which means Lord in Hebrew. Adonai Sabaoth means Lord of Hosts, a common Jewish phrase for God, and Cain and Abel are the sons of Adam from Genesis. All these beings, from the Gnostic perspective, are false gods, entrapping humans who properly should be ascended to resume the status as elements in the mind of God. The name of the rulers of the five lower spheres are obscure. Melcher Adani may mean King Lord, as Belias probably is a variant of Belial, the demon's name. Divine and demonic names used in texts like the secret book of John often vary in their spelling from one usage to the next. For example, the name of the rulers of the fifth realm here spelled Adonai Sabaoth, but elsewhere is spelled Adonai Shabaoth or even Adonai. This happens because of the scribal errors that accumulate over the centuries.
He made the first 7 rulers to reign in the 7 spheres of heaven. He made the next 5 rulers to reign in the 5 depths of the abyss.
The geometry of reality has changed. We no longer find an expansive mandala structure here, but an imprisoning and claustrophobic series of concentric circles rising and descending below the world. The first 7 spheres contain the mobile celestial beings, the visible planets, the 5 visible planets, Mercury, Venus, Mars, Jupiter, and Saturn, the Sun and the Moon. Note that these planets retain their names in English of the Roman gods who were thought to rule there. In the series of concentric spheres, the surface of the Earth is beneath the 7th sphere, Abel, which probably corresponds with the location of the Moon. Immediately above it is Cain, corresponding with the location of the Sun. Beneath the surface of the earth are 5 additional spheres, culminating the one ruled over Belias and the furthest reaches of Hades, in Coptic literally Amenti, the Egyptian underworld. And here he has a diagram of the spheres starting with Athoth and ending in Belias. It's a visual description of these spheres of influence of these archons.
He shared a portion of his fire with them, but shared none of the power of light he had received from his mother.
The secret book of John differentiates between Yaldabaoth's fire, which is his own nature, and his light, which is the power he receives from his mother. His power is his, quote, genetic inheritance, unquote, going back to Sophia, and from her back to the Christ, the Son, whose system of realms she came into being, and from Christ the Son back to the invisible Spirit, from whom all blessings flow. As the thoughts of God are part of the mind of God, and therefore are real, as Yaldabaoth is a mistaken thought, his existence is sustained by that power, but is fire of his own and ultimately unreal. He can share it with his subordinates. If Yaldabaoth's power can be taken from him and returned to the world of the divine mind, his fire will go out and his world will come to an end. Here the power of the mind of God that brought Yaldabaoth into existence and that sustains him is called light. The nature of the whole lower realm now coming into being is the opposite, darkness. And yet the realms only exist through the sustaining power of the light. The author of the Secret Book of John is trying to depict a reality where the lower realm is neither light nor darkness, but a gloomy mixture of the two.
Bracket. He is ignorant of darkness. When the light mingled into the darkness shone. When darkness mixed with the light diminished. No longer light nor darkness, but dim. End of bracket. The dim ruler has 3 names. Yaldabaoth is the first. Saklos is the second. Samael is the third.
Saklos is Aramaic for fool and was applied to Satan in Judaism. Samuel means blind god in Aramaic. These terms are used in other Gnostic texts for Yaldabaoth, and so here, as elsewhere, the authors of the Secret Book of John acknowledge that there is an alternative version of the story he is telling.
He is blasphemous through his thoughtlessness. He said, I am God, and there is no God but me, since he didn't know where his own power originated.
Here we have a clear reflection of the influence in the Jewish biblical tradition, a quotation from Isaiah 46:9, I am God and there is no God but me, quote unquote. In the contrast to the Secret Book of John, this is absurd, a testimony to Yaldabaoth's ignorance and arrogance. Of course there's a higher God than he. We heard about it at great length in the first section of this book. Yaldabaoth owns his existence to that higher God and should know about him, but he doesn't. The equation of the divine being who speaks in the Isaiah prophecy with Yaldabaoth himself foreshadows the equation of Yaldabaoth with the creator God of Genesis.
His rulers created 7 authorities for themselves. Each of these authorities created 6 demons apiece. There came to be 365 demons altogether.
The creation of the lower world continues. One should imagine this developing cosmos is more temporal than spatial construction. Yaldabaoth creates a time and seasons that governs life. First, the astrological forces, which are the 12 authorities discussed in the previous sequence, and second, the mundane daily forces, which are discussed here. The 7 authorities created here are the days of the week, each of which ruled by a particular demonic power. In Apocryphon Johannes, Giverson suggests that the Secret Book of John tells us of 3 names for Yaldabaoth, 12 spheres with ruling authorities, 7 demonic rulers with 7 authorities, who in turn have 6 demons each, giving us a grand total of 3 plus 12 plus 7 plus 7 times 7 plus 49 times 6 equals 365. Every day has its own demon. The magicians and physicians of the ancient world knew their names when they had greatest influence and what should be done about them. The Secret Book of John is telling us these odd names for practical reasons. Note that our English words for the days of the week reflect the idea specific gods rule the various days. In our case, most of them are North gods. Theo for Tuesday, Woden rules Wednesday, Thor rules Thursday, Freya rules Friday.
Here are the 7 authorities, names, and physical forms. First, Ethoth, with a sheep's face. Second, Eleos, with a donkey's face. Third, Astaphoios, with the hyena's face. Fourth, Yao, with the face of the 7-headed snake. Fifth, Sabaoth, who has the face of a dragon. Sixth, Adonim, whose face is that of a monkey. 7, Sabaoth, with the face of flame and fire.
Some of the names of these demons are similar to the names of those who rule the astrological spheres. Athoth is the same. Elias may derive from Elohim. Yah is from Yahweh, both of which are Jewish names for God. Adonai Sabaoth has been divided into host and lord separately in the 5th and 6th position. Sabatos, the 7th, comes from Sabbath. Why they have the faces they are said to have is unknown, although the idea of animal-headed ruling authorities probably stems from ancient Egypt. Isaiah 6:2 tells of the Sephirim kept their faces hidden with their wings. Here we evidently find out why they did that. The separation of various Jewish names for the one God of the individual names or separate supernatural beings is a common characteristic of ancient magical practice. This chapter continues, but we're going to have to finish it in another reading. But this is very interesting. Here you can see what is the inherent difference between the Gnostic interpretation of spiritual matters and those of the Abrahamic religions. We are in complete and utter contention here. Their false demigod Yaldabaoth, the demiurge, was a created being created by a mistake. This is the God that the Abrahamic religions worship, and there's never ever going to be a possibility of Gnostic tradition and the tradition of the Christian church existing together in harmony. It's simply not going to happen. And for hundreds of years now, the Gnostics have been the ones who were killed, forced underground, having their entire scriptures erased from the presence of the earth until the 1950s, when these Gospels that Gnostics adhere to were again found.
The demiurge has always been the god of the lower realm, or quote, the god of the world, and the archons that follow him are what we call the angels, and they do seek to dominate, and you see it through his followers, the Christians, the Jews, the Muslims. They seek to dominate. They do not want anyone to surpass them.
They reflect everything in this realm like a shade reflects the actual object that is being hit by the sun. So here we have sort of a shade of the actual reality, and that reality, again, is that we are all part of this God mind. And no matter how much we try to make nicety nice with the Christians, they're never, ever going to accept this Gnostic tradition. And Lucy and I are not trying to make nicey nice with them anymore. They had their opportunity. This is Shindo.
And this is Lucifera.
Stay tuned for part 2 of this chapter, The Fashioning of This World, soon to come. Everyone have a great Sunday afternoon.